And in the season finale, Rhaenyra is just hanging out on Dragonstone. She's having a conversation with Lucerys about his duty and what he's supposed to do. He doesn't really have any interest in being Lord of the Tides, but thus, that's what he's going to be. That's when she gets word that Rhaenys has shown up. Gets both Rhaenyra and Daemon in a room together and tells them of what happened at King's Landing. The fact that her father's dead and the fact that there's a usurper. Right away, Daemon figures that it was Alicent who killed his brother and took the crown for her son. He then gets really pissed off at Rhaenys when she tells him how she escaped because he says, you could have burned all of them and you didn't. And Rhaenys tells him, look, there's a war coming, but that's not my war to start. Now, they're coming for you, Rhaenyra. You really should leave Dragonstone immediately. But there's an issue. She goes into labor. Super early. So she can't leave. As she is dealing with premature labor, Daemon gets everybody in a room together and starts going over strategy on how not to die. The reality is they don't have as many men to surround the entire island, but he figures that they can trick them into thinking that they're stronger than they are. They also have these things called dragons. They have a lot of them, so that's a positive. Daemon then gets word that the sea snake's fever is broken. The guy that was once thought to be on death's door is quickly on the road to recovery, although they have no idea where he's sailing or what state of mind he's in. Daemon then gives the order to send ravens to their closest allies, and he himself is planning on flying to one of them, but Jace walks in and tells him, no, you're not. Her mom has given the order that nobody leaves this place while she's in bed. Daemon then heads out and talks to two King's Guards, trying to figure out their loyalty as his wife continues to go through labor. And in one gnarly scene, Rhaenyra, refusing help of any of the nurses, just rips the baby out of her, and the baby is stillborn. She then prepares the baby's funeral, and they go outside and honor the baby. As they're doing so, Eric, the knight that was tasked to go into the city and find Prince Aegon, shows up on Dragonstone. In all of the madness and confusion, he stole the crown and headed out. He has loyalty to Rhaenyra because he feels like she is the rightful heir to the Iron Throne. So he shows up, bends the knee, and swears his loyalty to her, presenting her with the crown that she can put on her head. As soon as she puts it on, everybody that's there bends the knee. Everybody except Rhaenys. They then walk back into the room where they can strategize, and Daemon introduces her as Queen Rhaenyra. Daemon then starts quickly giving her an update on their strategy. Everybody around the table starts figuring who they can count on and who they can't. There's one particular guy named Lord Grover that Daemon's planning on flying and meeting with. And while this is the first time Rhaenyra's hearing about it, her face doesn't seem too thrilled with the idea. Rhaenys then gives the update on her husband. She's been alerted that he is sailing to Dragonstone, but they have no idea if he's going to bend the knee or not. They then continue to give her updates on who they can count on, who they can't. And that's when one of the guys pipes up and says, we have dragons. We have a lot of them. But Rhaenyra points out that none of their dragons have actually been to war. And everything she's heard, when dragons go to war against each other, everything turns to ash. It's not something she wants to see happen. But Daemon agrees that they do have a powerful asset in these dragons. They not only have more of them, they can get more. They have the dragon eggs, and they know where some unclaimed dragons are. Eric then runs in the room and alerts them that Otto Hightower and the group from King's Landing have arrived. They don't meet with Rhaenyra right away. They actually meet with Daemon on the same bridge that a teenage Rhaenyra met with Daemon years ago to look for his surrender. Well, Otto's here to do that. Get their surrender. Rhaenyra, in probably a move to intimidate them, flies in on a dragon and hears Otto Hightower's terms. At the behest of Alicent, he doesn't kill her. He does offer her a chance to live and bend the knee to King Aegon. Of course, Rhaenyra and Daemon take this as a slap in the face. They have no interest in bending the knee to a usurper. Otto tries to explain that he's not a usurper. He was sworn in front of everybody, and everybody at this point just believes that he is the king, so he's the king. He sits on the Iron Throne. And the promises that were made to Rhaenyra were before Aegon was born. Rhaenyra gets so annoyed that she walks up to Otto, snatching the pin off his lapel and throwing it, saying, "You are no more the hand than Aegon is king. You're a traitor." In a last-ditch effort, Otto hands Rhaenyra a ripped-out page from a book that her and Alicent used to read when they were kids, trying to remind her that Alicent has no interest in being enemies with her. She wants to be friends. Otto then says that the queen eagerly awaits Rhaenyra's answer, and Daemon jumps in and says, well, she could have her answer now. and he pulls out a sword and he's ready to do battle. But it's Rhaenyra who shuts it down, telling Otto that she'll give King's Landing her answer tomorrow. Rhaenyra, Daemon, and her group then walk back into the castle and start going over strategy once again. Daemon hammering home that they have more dragons, they're more powerful. Rhaenyra hammering home that she doesn't want to go to war with dragons because she doesn't want to rule a kingdom of ash. Daemon gets so frustrated with Rhaenyra and her calm response to all of this that he screams, "They've already declared war, what are you going to do about it?" And Rhaenyra has to clear the room. She tells Daemon, "You know that my oath reaches far beyond our ambitions." Daemon looks confused, so she says, "The Song of Ice and Fire. The coming war against the North, the Conqueror's dream." But Daemon just grabs her by the throat and says, "Dreams didn't make us kings. Dragons did." And that's when Rhaenyra says out loud, "Oh my God, he never told you." And she's amused by this. The fact that she knew about the prince that was promised and he clearly didn't. As Daemon and Rhaenyra were having this conversation, the Sea Snake has arrived in Dragonstone. He's not back to 100%, but he's also no longer on death's door. The first thing he does is apologize to his wife for abandoning her. He didn't really know what to do when he lost both children, so he decided to go off to war. Not the best move as a husband. They then get into the whole matter of Jace being named the new Lord of the Tides, the new King Aegon, Rhaenyra, and who they're supposed to side with. But Corlys doesn't care. He's over it. He realizes now that his wife was right all along. He's perfectly content with taking his wife, taking his grandchildren, and just going off, living in Driftmark. But Rhaenys reminds him that Jace, Luke, and Joff are claimants of the throne, which means they're never going to be safe. Corlys then reminds his wife that Rhaenyra was complicit in their son's death. He screams that girl destroys everything that she touches. But Rhaenys says no, she doesn't. That girl is keeping the realm together. Everybody wants to go to war, and she's the only one with a level head. So that kind of makes up Corlys' mind. He gets up out of bed, and with Rhaenys, they walk in, and Corlys sees Rhaenyra for the first time. He apologizes to her about her father's death, and then he starts looking around for Daemon, and she has to tell him that Daemon's dealing with another matter at the moment. He then tells Rhaenyra that she has the full support of his fleet and his house, which is a big relief to Rhaenyra. Having the Valyrian fleet actually gives them a fighting chance. But to make it better, Corlys tells her that he was able to solidify the Stepstones. They run it now. The Triarchy is no more. And because of that, they can shut down the shipping lanes to King's Landing. And that is an absolute game changer. Rhaenys offers to take her dragon and patrol, making sure nobody ends up destroying their blockade. Now, the next step is making sure that they have allies to actually fight with them. They need to secure the support of Winterfell, the Eyrie, and Storm's End. So they're planning on sending ravens. But Jace says, no, you should send us. Dragons can fly faster than ravens, and they're way more convincing. Rhaenyra thinks about it and agrees. She sends Jace north to solidify Eyrie and then Winterfell, while she sends Lucerys south and meet with Lord Boros Baratheon. Right before the boys leave, though, she makes them swear that they will not be fighters. They are going as messengers, not soldiers. She wants her boys returning home. And they swear to it. They then take off. When Lucerys arrives in Storm's End, he's pretty nervous, but he's shocked because his dragon isn't the only one there. There's a much bigger one. And then he notices whose dragon it belongs to when he actually walks into the castle, and it's Aemon's. He's beaten Lucerys to it. Now, Lucerys is even more nervous than ever. But Baratheon demands to know why he showed up and what he's offering. And the thing is, Lucerys isn't offering a thing. The message from the queen is just, honor what your father promised. But Boros Baratheon couldn't care less about what his father said he would do. He's a different man. On top of it, Aemon is offering a pretty good package. So it's going to be a no from Storm's End. But Lucerys isn't able to just walk out the door. Aemon asks him, do you really think you're just going to walk in here and try to steal my brother's crown without having to pay for it? But Lucerys tells him, I'm not fighting you. I'm here as a messenger. That's it. But Aemon isn't about to just let him walk. He wants to take from Lucerys what Lucerys took from him, his eye. Luckily for Lucerys, Boros Baratheon ain't having it. He says, you can take this fight somewhere else. And Lucerys is quick to get the hell out of there, hop on his dragon, and fly away. Although, as he's trying to fly back to Dragonstone, he's being chased by Aemon and his much bigger dragon. He's able to evade Aemon, flying through some narrow caverns, But eventually, Lucerys' dragon acts on his own, spitting fire in the face of Aemon's dragon, even though Lucerys didn't order it. And just like Rhaenyra predicted, when dragons start going to war together, bad things happen. Aemon commands his dragon to not go after Lucerys' dragon, but it's too late. Lucerys flies up over the clouds thinking he's safe, and then out of nowhere, Aemon's dragon ends up biting him in half and killing both of them. And Aemon is in shock because that wasn't part of the plan, and now he knows that a war is definitely going to kick off. And sure enough, when Rhaenyra gets the news from Daemon that Lucerys died, her entire mood changes, and her face is ready for revenge. And that is how the end of House of Dragon Season 1 ends. Thank you so much for getting this point of the recap. Consider subscribing to the channel. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. I have memberships. I have a Patreon. All of that is in my bio. Be nice in the comments section. If I messed up a name, it happens. But let me know what you thought of this season and what you're expecting for Season 2.